Hey folks, Math Machine here, and today I'm going to be talking about Pixar's newest movie, The Good Dinosaur. Now, this was a movie that turned out very different than how I was expecting, largely because I tend to avoid trailers and usually just look at promotional art or the very earliest previews that a company ends up showing. And in this case, I'm actually really happy that I avoided trailers because this turned out to be something that I did not see coming, and I felt that it was better for that I didn't know what to expect. It was a very minimal story, and I can't really go into that without spoiling major parts of it. The story itself wasn't that expansive or, let's be honest here, impressive. It was kind of a mediocre story overall. What sold this movie was it knew what it wanted to do, and it did it incredibly. In a lot of ways, I would call this film a sort of coming of age and overcoming fear style movie that you don't see very often anymore. The the closest analogs I can come to describe this movie are James and the Giant Peach and a portion of The Lion King. And if you're compared to those films, you're in good company. To make a more spoiler-free sort of synopsis. Kid dinosaur gets lost. Kid dinosaur tries to find way home. And of course, overcomes fear and grows along the way. It's generic, but it's a genre that hasn't really been done that much lately, and I'm glad to see it come back in this film. It's one of those kind of things that it's good to have every now and again, just because it may be formulaic and it may be done to death, but if it's done right, it works really well, and you don't really need that much more plot around it. The side characters that you see in it have a wide range to them. They were really hit and miss. A lot more miss than hit. I'm going to be honest there. You're not seeing this film for the side characters. You're just seeing it for the two main characters. And in a lot of ways, I did not like the side characters much, if at all. And towards the end of the film, because this is a big budget production, they had to have some sort of attempt at a grand ending or a thrilling climax. And it just did not need to be there. I'm going to be honest here, there was no need for the events towards the ending. It could have been just the two main characters themselves. You didn't need the last little bit. That's Hollywood today. They seem to think that people need that grand climax to stay interested. I feel it did a bit of a disservice to the movie, and it would have been better off without that. Again, having said that, though, I still think this was a very well executed movie and very nicely just put together. Also, the backdrops in this movie are worth the price alone. If you are an animation guy like me, this movie will just leave you in awe throughout the entire thing. I just I just kept staring at how beautiful these backdrops, the sets, all of these. It almost looked like they took actual photos and were just using that. That's how good it was. I couldn't tell that these were drawn, CGI or otherwise. It was gorgeous, which felt a little bit weird when you saw the characters next to the backgrounds at times. The animation styles are just so different, it sometimes felt out of place. I'm not going to ignore that fact. But it doesn't really hurt the film in any way. I love the unique designs for the characters. This is something that I've not seen in any other film. Well, Pixar. But even that, these are more unique than your typical animated or Pixar film in general. And I like that. I didn't like all the designs, don't get me wrong, but I liked how different they were and how I'd never seen them like that before. And that I give kudos to. If you like animated films, I would suggest this. If you like coming-of-age films, a long-con genre, I would recommend this as well. You got a family? I'd strongly recommend, let's be honest here. This is definitely a take your kids, and if you grew up in a certain generation, you're going to like this too kind of film. If you are more interested in a story or a more action style film, I wouldn't recommend this, or I'd at least wait until it came to DVD and Blu-ray. Overall, I'd give it a thumbs up. I'd say, yeah, go take a look. It's not as good, at least in my opinion, it's not as good as Inside Out. But I feel that in some of the ways that Inside Out was lacking, this film makes up for it. Unfortunately, vice versa. A lot of the ways that this film is lacking, Inside Out just was better at. I'd still say Inside Out is the better Pixar film for the year, but this is still really good. And I would recommend seeing it if any of these things apply to you. Anyway, this has been just Math Machine talking about most recent animated film I saw. I liked it. Peace out.